Hi, I'm Scott. Welcome to Goldwing Docs. Today we're going to be talking about air tools and compressors. Coming up next. So why do people use air tools anyway? Why not just have an electric tool instead of having a compressor and hoses and all the rest of it? Well, there's a couple real reasons. First off, they're extremely powerful. You can get incredible torque out of an impact wrench like this that makes really stuck-on bolts and nuts easy to remove. They're also inexpensive because there's no electric motor in here. All the actual power is coming from the compressor, so all you need here is just a little pneumatic motor that is driven by air. You can have a variety of inexpensive tools that are relatively powerful and far more inexpensive than if they were electric. Now, technology has started to change some of that with lithium-ion battery technology and neodymium magnet motors that are quite powerful with a lot of torque and a lot of energy density in the battery, means that you can have powerful tools that don't require pneumatics. If you're a casual DIY mechanic who can't really justify the expense of a compressor and air tools, maybe you could get away with just a cordless impact wrench and maybe a cordless ratchet driver like this one. So how does it actually work? It's all about energy. You have a compressor. The compressor takes electricity, and you can take a lot of electricity into a compressor. Many larger compressors are 240 volts. So the compressor takes that electrical energy, turns it into kinetic energy inside the electric motor, which then compresses air, puts it into the tank where it gets stored as potential kinetic energy. Now you can have an awful lot of energy stored in that tank because over time it's taking energy out of the electricity and storing it in that tank. And then over time you can draw out that energy as you use your tool. But because you store a lot of it, if you have a tool such as an impact wrench that takes a lot of energy because it's doing a lot of work, if this were electric, you'd need to put a ton of electricity into it to get it to do the same work. Instead, we could put a little bit of electricity over time into the tank, so we're storing a lot of energy, and then we can use up that energy all at once and get a lot of power in our impact wrench. Now, we do have to be cognizant of the dangers. A 50-gallon compressor tank at 120 psi at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, there is an awful lot of energy stored in that tank, an incredible amount, 330,000 joules to be exact. That's the equivalent of 78 grams of TNT, or 1/3 of a stick of dynamite. A NATO grenade is 100 grams of TNT, so a 50-gallon compressor tank is pretty close to the explosive power or the stored energy of a grenade, and they can explode. Have a look here. This is a small consumer 10-gallon compressor tank that exploded and ruptured. And when it exploded, it blew you can see the entry door here, it blew that outwards. The tank itself blew up into the air, impacted the garage door, and blew the garage door off its wheels. Not to mention that when these things go, they can blow shrapnel. This is a lethal amount of energy. One of these tanks blowing with you next to it could easily kill you. So you really have to take some precautions with these tanks. There's a valve in the bottom of them that you need to drain, because every time you compress air, all the moisture in that air gets condensed inside the tank and it precipitates out. You get water at the bottom of the tank. You have to drain out that water using the valve when you're finished using the tank at the end of the day. Otherwise, that water sits in there and rusts the tank from the inside out. And a rusty, weak tank is going to explode. Tanks also have a life limit. After a certain number of years, you want to look at the manual to be sure or consult the manufacturer, but after a certain number of years, or if the tank has endured enough compression cycles, it's no longer considered safe to use anymore. It should be disposed of and replaced. Also, have a look at your hoses. I have an inertial reel in my ceiling where I can pull down the hose and quickly connect any tool that I want to it. Some people use PVC pipes to permanently connect the compressor to their hoses. which is great, and it's certainly rated for that pressure, but PVC is a little fragile. If you were to bump into it with something hard, you could break or rupture a PVC line and have shrapnel blowing out as 120 psi of air escapes out through the broken pipe. Also have a look at your rubber lines. Make sure they're not frayed or worn. The last thing you want is to have one of those explode next to you as well. I hope that's of some interest and use to you. If you do have any questions, comments, suggestions, please leave them in the description section below. And if you like this video, please click like, click subscribe, hit that little bell. That way you get notified every time we post one of these videos, and it really helps us out. Thanks for watching.